Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of Teens and Faith Catholic Conversations. I'm your host Annie, and I'm joined by my co-host Gianna.
Hey, what's up?
So Gianna, what do we have coming up this episode?
We'll be interviewing another teenager, and we'll be talking about Saint Philomena since her feast day was just yesterday. Yeah, and we'll talk about a little bit what we've been doing.
So I've actually been pretty busy lately because we start school next week, so we're getting ready for that. And I went to a lake this weekend, and when I was packing to go to the lake, I kept losing stuff. Like I lost 3 different things. So I just kept saying the St. Anthony prayer, and he found like 3 different things for me. And one of the times I wanted to bring a little camera, and I looked like in the spot where I usually put it, and it wasn't there. So then I said the prayer to St. Anthony, and I looked again, and it was there. So that was crazy. It just
He finds a lot of things.
yeah. Oh, and I have one little shout out to give. So my little brother Nicholas knows that we are filming an episode about Saint Philomena today, and one of his favorite saints of all time is Saint Philomena. So he wanted me to give him a little shout out on here. So hi Nicholas, if you're listening.
So this didn't happen recently, but I was just thinking about a story the other day that my brother actually reminded me of. So I think this was about a year ago. We were in school. So yeah, we did go into school at one point, which we'll talk about that in a later episode, or I'll talk about it. But my brother Elias and I were at home sick, and my brother Bennett was in school. My mom and my dad were at home, and then we have our dog Rocky, who is actually pretty important to this story, to make it sound even funnier. So my brother Elias and I were just laying down on the couch because, we're sick, we feel awful. And now I don't remember quite what happened, but my mom said that Elias sounded like a bird because of how he was breathing or something. He had some trouble with that. And my dad was standing right there, and he said, and that reminded him of an interesting story he saw one time. So he starts talking, and he was talking about it like the pyramids in Central America have steps up to an open door temple. And he just started going off on stuff. And my dad's a sanguine, so he can go on for a long time. And my mom ran off into her bedroom as he was talking because she had a sharp pain in her eye. So she ran into her bedroom, and then he stopped, and then he continued his story after she left. And I ran upstairs because I didn't think my dad was talking to me, and I didn't want to have to listen to one of his long stories again. So my mom and I are both gone, and then Bennett's at school, like I said, and then Elias got up as my dad was still talking, and he went off somewhere else. Had continues talking, and then my dog Rocky, he walked away into the master bedroom. So everyone had left my dad hanging, and he just stopped his story at that point. But yeah, so whenever he starts talking, then everyone starts to run away.
Yeah, my dad's the same way. It's probably a sanguine thing because when he has like something he wants to talk about, he'll go on and on and on forever. My mom's like, okay, Brandon, like get to the point. Because I mean, like sanguines do that. I do that too, if you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, Gianna's nodding her head right now, like, yes, you do that, Andy. Now it's time to talk about a phenomenal saint, the patron saint of our podcast, Saint Philomena. First, we wanted to kind of talk about why we picked Saint Philomena as the patron saint of this channel. So when we were thinking about starting a podcast, we knew if we did, we would want a saint to be the patron of our podcast. And Gianna was like, hey, Annie, what about Saint Philomena? She seems like a good teenage saint, and she was an extremely young martyr. So I was like, all right, perfect, let's do it. So we got into looking a little bit more about her, and we found out some crazy miracles she has done, and we learned about her life, and we just both really loved her, so we picked her. And since picking her of the patron saint of our podcast, she has done so much to help us, like even outside of the podcast. And she's just like helped us with the podcast in general. So like, for example, I was editing a video that will be coming out soon, and the audio just stopped playing. Like I was editing and the sound just stopped coming out. So in my head, I'm thinking I probably hit the mute button or something. So but that wasn't working. I like hit the unmute button and everything, and nothing was working. I tried a bunch of different things. Like I even restarted the computer. And so then I finally brought it to my mom and was like, okay, can you fix this? Like, I'm dumb. I can't fix it. So she tried for like 10 minutes and just couldn't fix it. And then after like 10 minutes of trying, my mom got it working and she's like, there you go. And I was like, how did you just do that? And she's like, well, I thought in my head, Saint Philomena, can you help us right now? And then the sound started working again. And I was like, that is what? Like, that's crazy. So it was kind of cool to like have something little like that happen to you.
Yeah, definitely.
And then another example, like I said, I was at the lake this weekend and I'm so weird. And when I don't sleep in my own bed, I like cannot fall asleep at all.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Don't worry.
And when I don't get like at least 8 hours of sleep, I am so tired for the rest of the day, like just a regular teenager. And I like even sometimes get like migraines when I don't get enough sleep. Like I really need my sleep. Um, and it was like 2 a.m. and I was trying for a long time to fall asleep and nothing was working. So I finally like was just like, okay, I'm gonna ask Saint Philomena for help. And I was like, okay, Saint Philomena, can you please help me fall asleep? And then I said the rosary and I was out cold. So that was, yeah, that was pretty
Wow.
cool to, like we said, like have happen to you, like little stuff like that.
Mm.
So, like we all know, Saint Philomena has done a lot of miracles since she has died and was like rediscovered. But before we get to talking about that, we wanted to talk about her life a little bit.
So Saint Philomena was not always a well-known saint like she is today. Actually, it wasn't until the 1800s that the Catholic Church first found the tomb of Saint Philomena. So on May 24th, 1802, Saint Philomena's remains were discovered. On her tomb, the words were written Pax tecum Philomena. Many others who had heard about this discovery prayed to God, asking him to reveal her story. Because, when you see something like that, it's like, okay, I need to know more about this person. Like, what?
Yep.
Um, and then God promised that her story would be told 31 years after opening her tomb. So, 1833, uh, Saint Philomena herself appeared to three different people in three different corners of Italy. Now, these people never met. They were never able to communicate with each other, but they spread to others identical details about Saint Philomena's life. So, Saint Philomena was daughter of the king and queen of Greece. Her parents were childless for many years, so they since they were pagan, they prayed to false gods, so that they would give them a child. They had a Christian doctor though, and he took pity on them. So he told them, I will pray to God that he will give you a child, but you need to convert to the Catholic faith first. So they did this, and shortly after, St. Philomena was born. And many people who heard the story, who saw this all happen, they were converted. So I guess you could say that was like the first miracle St. Philomena did, I guess. But she converted a lot of people in her life, and after death. So Saint Philomena was raised in the Catholic faith, and by the time she was 5 years old, she received her first Holy Communion. And by the time she was 11, she consecrated herself to God. As we keep going, by the time she was 13, the Roman Emperor Diocletian declared war on Greece. So her father thought he could make peace with this terrible emperor. So he set out with his wife and Saint Philomena out to Rome. And arriving there, he asked for an audience with Diocletian. And so, as Saint Philomena's father was speaking about this, like trying to get him not to go to war with them, Diocletian interrupted him, and he said, "I don't worry, I won't go to war with you if your daughter marries me." And Saint Philomena right away, without hesitation, was like, "No, like she gave herself to God and she meant it. Like she's keeping that vow, and she's not going to marry anyone else." But Diocletian, from all of his time being emperor. You can tell he's a hot-tempered man and did not take well to denial of any sort. Um, so he threw Saint Philomena into a prison, and she was chained hand and foot, fed once a day on bread and water, and was visited daily by Diocletian, who repeated his demands, to which she stood constant in her answer and said no. On the 36th day of her imprisonment, the Blessed Virgin Mary, holding her divine infant, appeared to her, and Mary told her that she will remain in prison for 3 more days, but after she comes out of prison, she will suffer many torments. So this thought scared Saint Philomena because, she was human. So the thought of death scares all of us, really. Without the grace of God, we can't go through with death, like with torment. So in consoling her, like Our Lady would, since she's our mother as well as our queen, uh, she said that her son, Jesus, and herself, and since Saint Gabriel was Mary's protector on earth, um, will protect Saint Philomena and help her through all these torments. The vision disappeared and left a beautiful fragrance in the dungeon, comforting Saint Philomena. When 40 days had passed, Saint Philomena was taken out of the dungeon and was bound to a pillar and scourged. So that you can see that she was being scourged the same way Jesus was, kind of the same.
Yeah, like Diocletian said, like, oh, if you love Jesus so much, why don't like we give you the same treatment as Jesus?
Exactly. And she was taken back to prison to die after she was scourged. Um, but two angels appeared to her and anointed her body with oils, and she was fully healed. Diocletian, like, after he heard about this, he was like, well, he tried to convince her that it was just a false god who cured her, and that he really, the false god wants them to be married. Thing. But Saint Philomena obviously knew that wasn't true, and she said no. So for her next torment, she had an anchor tied around her neck and was being thrown into the river when God interceded again, and two angels came and cut off the anchor from her, dropping it into the water, and she never got wet. Um, and there were bystanders, like there were people watching this and seeing this. It's like, whoa, like imagine if you were seeing this. What would you think? Like, okay, that must be the true religion right there. Like, so a lot of people converted from that too. But and Diocletian didn't. He just thought she was doing magic, like more she's a witch or something. And he ordered her to be dragged through the streets and shot at with arrows. And out of cruelty, he threw her into prison again to die. During the night, the angels came again and healed her, and she was more beautiful than ever. And from that, it's like, wow, that's heavenly right there. Um, Diocletian didn't believe that, obviously, and then he demanded that she be killed to death with arrows. And even that didn't work. God stopped that again. Um, and then Diocletian commanded that the arrows be lit with fire, so flaming arrows be shot at her. And instead, God made the arrows turn around and go straight back at the archers, and a few of them died from that. And again, there were bystanders watching this, there were people watching this, and they all converted. They saw it and they're like, okay, we're converting now. But then Saint Philomena did die. Obviously, she was martyred. So she was beheaded on Friday, August 10th, around 3:15 p.m. But her feast day is August 11th. And Saint Philomena is the only saint based on miraculous intercession. Like no historic evidence is found of her martyrdom, like except for wounds and her name marked on her tomb. But that is it. Like she's just based on miraculous intercession.
After hearing that, you guys are probably just shocked by how great of a Saint Philomena is. And she was 13 when this all happened to her. Like she was barely a teenager when this all happened to her. It's she was so brave and just she always stood firm and never gave up and never broke her promise to God. So
She's wonderful and inspiring.
yeah, she really is. Now we're gonna talk about some of the miracles she did. So, like Gianna said, she was completely forgotten after her death until May 24th, 1802, when her tomb was found again. And they knew absolutely nothing about who this person was. They knew from the symbols on her tomb, like Gianna said, that she was a virgin martyr. And when they saw her bones, they figured out that she was about 13 years old when she died. And the first miracle she worked was in her tomb, there was a little vessel of her blood. And shortly after they took it out of the tomb, it turned into sparkling gems. So just after that, people were like, what? But even after that, she was forgotten for about 2 more years until a young canon came looking for a relic of a saint. And he immediately found the bones of Saint Philomena, or maybe she found him. You never know.
Yeah.
And he instantly was drawn to this young girl saint. And he needed to take her relics home. He was so drawn to Saint Philomena, he just begged to be able to take her relics home. But there was a mix up and they sent him the wrong saint's relics. So he was very grateful to have had a saint's relics at all, but he still longed to get the relics of Saint Philomena. Very shortly after that, the canon fell really ill, and he prayed to Saint Philomena and was miraculously recovered instantly. Like he just became fully healthy again, even better than before. And after this happened, he was finally able to get his hands on the bones of Saint Philomena, and he was completely overjoyed, like he had wanted this very badly. So when he was bringing the bones of Saint Philomena home, the canon brought a friend with him, and they brought a carriage. And there was no good place to put the relics of Saint Philomena, so they squeezed them in a little box in the bottom of the carriage. And they started on their trip and kept hearing a mysterious knocking sound at the bottom of the carriage that they could not define. But they just kept going anyways. They kind of ignored it. And after this happened, they had a awful start to their journey. It was super bumpy, really bad condition, everything. And then they just kept going. They're like, we can't stop. Let's just keep going. And they were finally, at one point, thrown from their carriage. So at that point, they were like, okay, something weird's going on here. And they realized St. Philomena's been crammed up in her tomb for so long, she wanted a better place to be in the carriage when she was being taken home. So they put her on a nice cushion seat in the carriage and they brought her home.
Don't mess with her.
Yeah. And before I keep going, I just wanted to say that Gianna and I got most of our information on St. Philomena from the Catholic Family Podcast Quick Takes and done by Lisa Davis. I highly recommend going to check them out. And we will put those, because there's 2 of them, we will put them in the description below. So St. Philomena has done a lot of miracles, like we've said a million times, including she has cured lots of what people thought incurable sicknesses. She has cured the crippled. She has even stopped fires at some point, which we'll get to talking about. And she's done a lot more. So St. Philomena's probably most famous miracle is the healing of Pauline Jaricot. Sorry if I'm saying her last name wrong. I'm not good at last names, if you guys can tell. Pauline had been very sick for a very long time. So she finally, when she thought she was about to die, traveled to St. Philomena's shrine. And while she was traveling to the shrine, she had the privilege of meeting the Pope. And he agreed that if Pauline was fully healed, and he saw it with his own eyes, that he would make St. Philomena a saint. So Pauline arrived to her shrine, and she was already in horrible condition that people who saw her already said that she appeared to be dead already. Like, she looked dead.
Oh, no.
So she prayed there for 2 days, and the people in the town of her shrine and who were at the shrine thought that Pauline had come for the intention of her to be healed, but that was not even why Pauline came, actually. And even though that wasn't her intention, everybody who saw her praying begged God and St. Philomena to heal Pauline because they felt so much pity for her. And when the Mass of the Holy Sacrament blessing was being said, Pauline miraculously was cured and was actually able to walk out of her shrine. And everybody was completely shocked. This was crazy. She went from being almost dead to being able to walk by herself without any help at all. So Pauline went to the Pope and he saw that she was fully cured. And in 1837, Saint Philomena was canonized a saint by Pope Gregory the 16th, and he made a mass in her honor. Like we said, her feast day is August 11th, and it is a really good thing to do the Saint Philomena novena starting on August 2nd and ending on her feast day, August 11th. So Saint Philomena is also has been compared to Saint Rita and Saint Jude because she's known for working miracles of hopeless cases and impossible things. And she is the patron saint of hopeless cases, expectant mothers, and for young people. And she has been adopted as one of the special patrons to those who remain faithful to the true church in these troubled and confusing times. A Catholic writer even once said that she could be the patron saint of everything, just because she's worked so many miracles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Pope Leo XII gave permission for altars to be made for her in her honor. Pope Pius IX made her the patron saint of the children of Mary. And many people have had very special devotions to her, including Saint John Vianney, which we'll get to talking about in a second. Another one of her miracles, which this story actually includes her curing somebody who is very sick and then her working another little miracle. So, a lawyer and his wife had traveled to the shrine of Saint Philomena because the lawyer was very sick and there was almost no hope for his recovery. So they prayed for 8 days, and on the 8th day, he fell very ill, and he was rushed to his hotel bed. And even after being rushed to his hotel room, he became so much worse that he was not expected to live to be even able to take like his last communion and confession. So his wife took a picture of Saint Philomena and placed it on him and prayed and begged that he be able to receive confession and communion just one more time before he died. And if her prayers were answered, that she would have built a marble altar in her honor. And shortly after her praying, her husband received confession and communion, and after this he was fully healed and better than ever before. So right after this, they fulfilled their promise and they had the marble altar be starting to be built. So when the man was making the altar and putting on the marble top, the marble cracked down the middle with his chisel, like
Oh
complete
boy.
crack in the middle. And he was super afraid that the job would not even be able to be finished at all due to how detrimental the crack was. But he managed to put the marble on top of the altar. And while this was happening, Saint Philomena fixed the crack in the middle of the marble, and all that remains is a little groove in the marble showing where it was, but it just blends in with the marble, so you can't even tell that anything ever happened like that. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
So like we said earlier, Saint John Vianney, the cure of Ars, had a very special devotion to Saint Philomena, and he was caught by somebody talking to Our Lady. And when this person caught him, he said, "If you ever speak of this, you will never step foot in this house again." But after he said that, he said in a more kind tone, he said, "With the Holy Virgin and with Saint Philomena, we know each other pretty well."
Wow.
So yeah, just even by him saying that tells us that he knew Saint Philomena pretty well. And one time when somebody asked him where she could find a picture of Saint Philomena, he said, "Go to this one church, and that is the most magnificent picture of Saint Philomena that I know of." And once people found out he gave this woman advice on where to find the picture, they realized Saint John Vianney had never even been to that church. So there was no way he could have known that the picture was there unless Saint Philomena told him. So, and then one time, Saint John Vianney's bed was lit on fire by the devil. But he was not afraid at all because he had his shrine of Saint Philomena right by his bed. And the fire stopped right by the picture of Saint Philomena. So she stopped the fire in his room, which was crazy.
That's crazy.
And then the cure of Ars fell very ill one time, and he was deadly ill. Like, people thought he was going to die. So before people thought he was going to die, he wanted a mass said for Saint Philomena. And during this mass, by the end of this mass, he was fully healed and better than ever, and was able to like take confessions and everything after. It was so incredible for everybody to see there. And it kind of showed them like, whoa, Saint Philomena is crazy. She can work crazy miracles. So another famous miracle of Saint Philomena was when a paper mache statue of Saint Philomena was being made. So the artist felt that the first job he did on this statue wasn't good enough, so he recolored the painting on her face, but he made her look like a corpse and not like the young girl Virgin Martyr that the people wanted her to look like. So the people begged him to fix the coloring on the saint's face, but he absolutely refused. So they were like, okay, I mean, it looks pretty, but I guess we'll just leave it like it is, even though it looks like a corpse. So on the Feast of the Angels, it was discovered that the statue had completely changed color. And people were like, hey, they asked the artist, when did you fix the coloring? It looks amazing. And he was like, I didn't touch the statue. What are you talking about? So he went around, like, he asked everybody if anybody had touched the statue or fixed it, and everybody said no. He even did a little experiment to see, like, if anybody had touched the statue. But nope, it was miraculously done by Saint Philomena. And this statue has also been seen changing positions and moving its eyes and its face and its hands before. When the original case, which the statue was to be put in, was ordered, it was too small. So the statue had to be put in there very uncomfortably and like bent in half, basically. And when they checked the statue again, the statue had miraculously moved positions. So it was like fully in there comfortably now. And the statue has also been seen, like I said, moving its hands and body and facial expressions and color as well. Sometimes it's seen looking sadder and sometimes it's seen looking happier, and it's changed like its coloring on its cheeks and stuff, and its hands have been seen moved. One time, a non-believer was praying to the statue and was like, if you've done so many miracles for other people, why can't you do one for me? And the saint statue literally turned its head and blinked at the person and then turned back. So this made her believe in Saint Philomena, obviously.
Wow.
And like we said, Saint Philomena has performed many miracles of healing the crippled. And another example of Saint Philomena healing the crippled was one time a crippled man who could barely walk with his crutches went to the Cure of Ars asking for advice, and he said to invoke the little girl virgin saint. And on the Feast of the Assumption, he put his crutches on the altar of Saint Philomena and he never used them again. And he went on to live a very holy and pious life. On Saint Philomena's altar, a lamp is burning with oil, and that oil is donated to a different city or somewhere in the world every year. And this oil is known to do miraculous things. So the oil even healed a blind 2-year-old baby girl when her mother put the oil on her eyes, and it healed a crippled 10-year-old boy and he was able to walk again. So yeah, these miracles are all crazy, but Saint Philomena has even raised somebody from the dead. So an 8-year-old boy was passing away in his mother's arms and from a very severe illness. And once he was cold, his mother cried out, weeping for the aid of Saint Philomena, and placed a picture of her on her son and was begging and crying, please heal my son. And her son was miraculously healed and sat up in his mother's arms. And he actually grew up to provide services to Pope Pius IX for 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So her picture was even once thrown into a raging and dangerous fire. And they were hoping that if they threw the picture in there that the fire would stop. And this fire got so big that it was like threatening other houses in the neighborhood because it happened in somebody's fireplace. So a priest like ran over with the picture of Saint Philomena and threw it in the fire, and they begged her to stop it. And after 5 or 6 minutes, people were like, okay, we need to take our belongings out of here. Like, this fire's not stopping. But the fire stopped, and her picture flew out of the fireplace and landed on the left side of the fireplace from which the fire was coming from.
So before we interview Francis, we also wanted to say that the Novus Ordo actually tried to stop honoring Saint Philomena. The reason is kind of unknown. It's not.
People don't really know why the Novus Ordo did this. She was one of the saints that the Novus Ordo tried to cut out of their church, but don't worry, guys. Saint Philomena would not let that happen.
No.
And she still is the patron saint of many people and many things, and she continues to work amazing miracles. So yeah, that wraps up our talk on Saint Philomena. And we just really wanted to thank Saint Philomena for all she has done for us and for other people. And
we wanted to wish her a very happy feast day.
Yes. So Gianna and I can say very proudly, Saint Philomena.
Yeah, powerful with God.
Pray for us. And now it's time to interview Francis.
Hello.
So we're going to start off with the first question. So what's your name and how many siblings do you have?
Well, I'm Francis. I have 4 siblings. I'm right in the middle of them all.
Oh, what's it like being the middle sibling?
Well, I mean, sometimes the older kids will talk with each other, sometimes the younger kids will talk with each other, but I usually get I don't not left out.
That's good.
But yes, yeah, I like it.
That's good.
Do you have like all brothers or all sisters, or is it like split up?
All brothers.
Oh man.
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty fun.
I have all brothers too, except I'm the only girl, so there's that exception.
I'm not
But
the only girl, but my sisters are like very little children, so.
yeah.
All right, now we're wondering what are some of your hobbies?
Well, I mean, let's see. I like to read a lot. I do like filming, though, although that isn't something I do often.
What do you like filming?
Just like being part in movies. So like one of my friends here is filming a video. So I have a couple parts in that one. I like doing that. I like to surf a lot. And I think, let's see, I like to play sports. That's
Ooh,
pretty much it.
what sports do you play?
Well, I mean, so every Monday we have us and some of our friends get together, play sports for 2 hours. So I guess
Ooh.
I like volleyball, soccer, um, don't like the ultimate frisbee too much.
Yeah, ultimate frisbee's kind of hard.
I like baseball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baseball's fun.
Yes, baseball. Baseball's fun. All right. What's your temperament?
Well, I mean, let's see. Everyone in my family says I'm phlegmatic, but I took a test and it says melancholic sanguine.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I think I'm melancholic sanguine.
Yeah, I think you're probably melancholic sanguine. I could also
yeah,
see how you're phlegmatic though. Maybe you're just all three.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the test said like I'm 11% phlegmatic, so
Oh wow,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah, some people are like, there's people who like have one main one, and like you can just tell like that's a sanguine or that's a melancholic or
Mhm.
whatever. And then there's people who are like split up.
Like in my
Mhm.
family, we have every single one. It's my oldest
Oh,
brother,
really?
definitely choleric. Next one, definitely melancholic. And my two younger brothers are both sanguine.
Oh man.
Oh,
One's
wow.
sanguine choleric. That's
I have a sanguine, well, I have a cleric sanguine brother. That's pretty fun.
yeah.
And my mom's cleric, so I think we have all of them too.
Yeah.
So moving on a little bit, who's your favorite saint and why?
I mean, it's hard to say, but I think I like Saint Alphonsus best. He wrote a lot of great
Uh,
sermons and books. He's actually my confirmation saint.
That's awesome.
really?
I don't know much about him. Do you want to tell us a little bit about him?
Sure. So he was born in I think really late 1600s. So he was the son of a nobleman. His father was very rich, and they lived in the city of Naples in Italy. And so when he was 16, he was very smart. So when he was 16, he became a lawyer.
Oh,
And
wow.
then eventually he had to leave it, and he basically joined I don't know if he became a priest. I think he started his own religious order, the Redemptorists,
Okay.
and wrote lots of books, became a bishop actually at one point. And then
Wow.
he asked the Pope if he could retire from the being the bishop of that diocese. So he went back to Naples where he wrote more books before he died. But he was always had this disease in his back where his head was always hunched forwards.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, that sounds like it's painful.
Because he's always very like smaller, I guess you would say, and he got sick quite often.
Well, more sufferings get you into
Yeah,
heaven,
more
so higher,
crosses for God.
yeah. So, what's your favorite religious book?
Well, I think I like the Glories of Mary, which is by Saint Alphonsus.
Oh, my mom was just reading that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Um, when I was younger, my dad took it and turned it into audio, and I remember listening about it. It's basically all about Our Lady.
That's pretty cool.
Lots of stories. I can't remember any in particular.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Like, it has a bunch of stories in it where people converted because of Our Lady, right? Or is
Yeah.
like something along those
Oh,
lines?
okay.
Yeah.
Moving on
Yeah.
a little bit. Do you play any instruments?
Well, let's see. I do piano. I tried doing guitar. I just couldn't do it. I'm gonna get. Let's see. So I have some friend. He's gonna lend me a mandolin to practice on. So I want to do mandolin. I've always wanted to do mandolin.
Ooh, mandolin is really fun.
It is, yes.
Will you like play some bluegrass on there?
Yeah, I'll probably do bluegrass and probably classical too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Mhm.
And then my brother wants me to do Irish mandolin.
Oh, Irish
Oh,
mandolin sounds pretty fun.
Yes, I've heard a couple. It's pretty good. I like it.
So, what's your favorite subject in school and your least favorite subject?
Well, I like history best. I guess, and my least favorite is math.
I'm with you, and I think a lot of people are probably with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much everyone I know doesn't like math. I mean, some
Yeah.
parts are fun. Like I like multiplication.
hmm
Yeah, I've been learning about like more algebra stuff recently, and that's not fun.
It's not. Yeah, algebra is not fun at all. So why do you like history?
Let's see, I like history because you can learn about the people in the past and like so if your relatives were like more important people, which I don't know if I have any, but it's fun to learn about that and learn about like how this country got its shape.
So moving on a little bit, what is your favorite liturgical season?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think like Holy Week and Easter. I really like all the ceremonies during Holy Week. I'd say that's my favorite. And I
Yeah.
heard how long Easter season is. But I mean, I also really like Christmas, so
Yeah, those are both really good seasons.
They are. What's your favorite religious holiday?
well, let's see, religious holiday. I think I'd like Feast of the Assumption.
Oh,
Ooh, why do you like the Assumption?
Well, I don't know. It seems like there's not a lot of other feast days around that one. So that's the only, I guess when that one comes, you're like, okay, good, here's a big one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I guess I also have devotion to Our Lady, so I like any Marian feast day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're wondering, are you a mission kid?
No, I'm actually not. So I go to St. Gertrude's, which is a pretty big church. It has like 400 parishioners.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have
Wow.
daily mass, four masses on Sunday. So no, I'm not a mission kid, I guess.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about like a little more about your church? Because like Gianna and I have said, we're mission kids, so we don't really know what like big churches are like.
Okay, so like every Sunday after mass, so there's on Sunday we have four masses actually.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
three, 7:30, 9, 11:30, and 5:30. So the 9 o'clock is a high mass. We have a high mass every week. Um, so that's one where you have the most servers because it's a high mass, I guess. So
hmm
afterwards, all of most of the people we know go to that mass. So afterwards, we'll usually all stay afterwards for like a couple hours.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. So I guess you have daily mass. We have five priests counting the bishop. They all go out on mission, so they're not always here. Like on Sundays, we usually have two
hmm
here,
Mhm.
sometimes three. And then every Sunday we have vespers in the evening, which I started serving recently.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Do you want to talk a little bit about serving? So you said you served. Is there like a certain part you like to serve the most, or is there like one that you just like always serve, or do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so I guess my favorite part to serve, I'd say, would have to be crozier. So only for bigger feast days, like pontificals. I
Yeah.
usually do, I guess I'm the one that they choose most. But yes, I'd say that's my favorite one.
Okay,
We
okay.
nice.
also serve low mass a lot. So we go to weekday masses are usually always low masses. So we go to
Mhm.
those masses. And then me and my brother take turns serving.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Was it difficult for you to learn Latin when you were learning how to serve, would you say? Or did it like come easy?
I mean, I think so we went to daily mass
Yeah.
when I was younger, when I would start learning. So I guess I started listening and just so I wouldn't say it was hard. I started listening to my older brothers who would serve and
Oh,
start
okay.
picking up on it. I would get some things pronounced wrong, and then my brothers would have to help me out on that. But I mean, I wouldn't say it's hard, but I wouldn't say it was easy for me.
My brothers did the same thing where they would learn off of each other, and it wasn't necessarily like easy because it's a different language. It's hard to learn different languages. It's hard enough to speak English, even if it is your first language.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it was easier, I guess, if you learn even audio hearing. I guess that helps sometimes.
It does a
Yeah,
lot, and the nice thing is you don't have to learn the whole language. You kind of just have to memorize all the prayers.
hmm
that's true. That's true.
Do you prefer serving high mass or low mass more?
Well, I mean, it depends if you're serving torchbearer or something bigger for high mass. So torchbearer, usually you don't do much. You're with all the little kids. So I'd say
Yeah,
I like serving high mass more, but I'd rather serve low mass and be a torchbearer. But torchbearer is still fun.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Sounds
cool.
pretty fun. So I know at some churches they do a midnight mass for Christmas. Have you ever gotten to serve the midnight mass? And if so, like what's that like?
Yes, I have gotten to serve midnight mass. They let's see, so it's for the midnight mass, usually there's all the Christmas lights up and Christmas trees, and then it's dark. So here we have like the bishop will come in unvested, and then he'll be carrying a statue of the Christ child, and he'll go up, say some prayers, to put him in the empty manger, and then he'll go up to the altar and get vested, and then we have a pontifical mass,
Okay.
and so it's I don't know, it's my favorite. I don't know, that's probably my favorite mass of the year.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It does, yes.
Were you
And
tired when you were serving midnight mass, or was it just like the same?
well, I mean, you're tired if you don't drink a lot of coffee, so I just drink a lot of coffee beforehand.
Yeah. My brother Elias, he loves coffee. Some days he'll go like, he says like, oh, today is a 2 coffee day, and he'll drink like 2 cups of coffee. But yeah, he loves coffee. So do my parents, so I guess it makes sense. I actually don't like coffee. I think it's kind of gross. Unless you
Really?
pour sugar in it. Yeah.
Staying on the same topic, but what's your favorite sermon?
I don't know if I have a favorite sermon. Maybe I guess Bishop McGuire's. He's the bishop at SGG. His sermons on the scapular I like a lot. Also, I guess some of St. Alphonsus' sermons I like a lot.
For the last question and the most random question, do you prefer hot or cold weather, and why?
I guess I like cold weather, like winter. I like all the snow. So yeah, cold weather. But yeah, hot weather with all the mosquitoes, it's never fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I prefer cold weather too. That might just be because from where I'm at, we get to like negative 40 degrees in the winter. So like when it's like 40 here, I'm like, oh, it's such a nice day. But I mean, obviously in the summer we get hot, but yeah.
Yeah, I used to live where it got like negative 40 in the winter too. It doesn't really seem that cold as long as
It
it's not
doesn't. No,
freezing.
if you're like layered up and you have your winter coat on, like you're fine. And if you're in your house, you're fine. You don't really notice it.
Yeah, and the best part is the snow doesn't melt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You generally always have snow for Christmas, except this year. I don't think we did. We might have.
We didn't either this
I
year.
don't know. We had a really nice winter last year. I didn't like it. I like the cold winters.
We had snow for Epiphany, but we didn't get Christmas.
Oh.
It was fun when we had the snow for Epiphany because like I was scheduled to be a torchbearer, but no one since because it snowed, no one showed up. So
Oh
I got a
uh,
new
no.
crozier. But I guess you shouldn't say that. It's kind of mean. But
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Francis. We really enjoyed having you. And do you have anything else to say before we let you go?
thank you for having me. This was fun.
So that wraps up episode 4. And we just realized that we forgot to do the prayer to Saint Philomena at the beginning of our episode. So we wanted to do it right now. O Saint Philomena, Virgin and Martyr, pray for us that, through thy most powerful intercession, we may obtain that purity of mind and heart which leads to the perfect love of God. Amen. So yeah, like I was just saying, that wraps up episode 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. And Gianna, what do we have coming up next episode?
So next episode, we will talk about some stories about the seven sacraments. I mean, just so you know, like we're not qualified to actually talk about them, define them. But so we'll talk about just some stories about that, and we will interview another teenager.
So, as always, God bless, and Saint Philomena,
Powerful with God,
pray
pray
for
for
us.